Hey everybody, back here for Spiritual Disciplines number 4. This is going to finish the notes that I have been reading from, and after this I'll probably just kind of share some personal, well, not personal, but kind of like my point of view, kind of stuff, more of the kind of practical side of it and what that really looks like every day to walk it out and to live like a life of discipline to God. So I'm just going to continue reading this and kind of comment, of course, as we go along, and hopefully you get something out of it. So this section is called Voluntary Devotion. There's just basically little pointers, I guess, just telling you, what that really means. So the practice of these graces must always be completely voluntary. So regarding, once again, the spiritual disciplines, graces, spiritual disciplines, same thing. So it must be completely voluntary, like you want to do it, and it's like, nobody's making you do it. You're not even making yourself. I mean, it's different. So it says no one can mandate the practice of these disciplines upon another. That's big. I mean, I can just, from stories I've heard and things I've heard, is like, I know that there are places, churches, and, whatever you want to call it, like places that follow God that like they basically like mandate and say you have to do this and this and this to either be saved or to be part of this church. And it's just like, no, that's not what God says. It's like you're following him. You're not following some leader, some person. I mean, yes, they can help you and teach you, but you're following Jesus. Okay, that's the bottom line. And so no one should force you or mandate, say you have to do these things to be whatever, to be a believer, to be part of this church, whatever. I think I said that twice, but really want to make that clear because that's super, super important. It says, because these disciplines do not earn the favor of God in any way, they must always be an offering given to the Lord, rooted in the realm of desire. And then I wrote, however, if you don't do them, you won't be of use to the Lord, which is something that our teacher said, and I was just like, I got a little bit offended, I think, when he said that, but it was like the good offended that I'm like, oh wow, Lord, like this is kind of true. And so it's like, the whole discipline thing is like, all it should be really is just you going, Lord, I want you so bad. I will do anything. I'll lay down my life. I'll lay down everything. I mean, that's what he asked us to do anyway. And so it's like, it's always from a place of, I want you. I desire to know God. I desire to be filled with you, and like all that kind of stuff. And, that should be what is motivating you to spiritual disciplines, just because you love him and you desire like all that he has for you. And if that means to lay down your life and take up your cross, then so be it. I mean, that's like I said, Jesus said that. So but I mean, just that whole thing about if you don't do spiritual disciplines, you won't be of use to the Lord. I don't know, like that one's, I'm still a little bit kind of, I don't know, like it hurts, let's just say that. But I know God can use, I mean, he uses the weak things of this world to confound the wise. He uses weak people, and so it's like if you're like up there, and you're just doing great and having a good time, and you're not really living the way that Jesus called you to, that's not really being in a place of weakness where you're vulnerable, where you have to rely on God for something in your life. Like, I mean, probably more than one somethings. I think that that's more of a place of, and I'm not, trying to, make like, oh, this is what it looks like, because I don't really know, but that probably made no sense. I'm just going to keep reading. This keeps our practice of the disciplines from becoming a legalistic attempt to gain something from the Lord. So if you keep that as a place of an offering given to him, it keeps you from being legalistic, which is often what can happen when you start talking about spiritual disciplines or start trying to practice them. I know I've definitely fallen into that more than once, just being like, oh, I have to do this, whatever. And it's not that you're in it to gain something. I mean, you want more of him, you desire and love him, and so it's like an offering. It's not going, well, God, I'm going to give all this up, so then you're going to give this to me and bless me and da 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 da. And it's like, that's not what he's saying. We are to choose these graces of our own desire to experience satisfaction in the Lord in greater ways. Pretty much sums it up. Let desire lead you. and don't ask, don't tell. This is just something that he put in there because he told us later, the teacher, basically like especially with like fasting or something like that, but even other things, those are definitely, there's parts of your life and your walk with Jesus that you don't need to go around like, proclaiming to everyone and even close friends or family. I mean, sometimes I just have really felt this before, and I still do, where it's just like there's just this place of just intimacy with Jesus where you're like, Lord, this is like a place where I have given you, like, say you're fasting for like a month or something, Daniel fasting, like whatever you're gonna do. And obviously some people will notice, but you don't need to go around, telling that, but just be like with the Lord, just be like, this is something that's really special to me and to you, and between us and the things that you're just doing and speaking to me about, you don't have to go around like announcing that to everyone. There's just this whole thing of like, don't ask for, also don't even ask people like, are you fasting? It's like, that's not any of your business. Like, that's between us, and that's between, the person and God. And then you don't have to tell anyone if you're doing it. Even if they ask you, you can just be like, maybe not, it's not your, it's whatever. It's not like, oh, it's not your problem, or you don't have to get all, weird about it, whatever. But it's just really nice, actually, to have kind of like secret things with the Lord. Like, it's actually kind of fun, and it's like, it makes you like realize more and more of how close of a friend he is, because he'll just like talk to you and just make you laugh, and you're just like, oh my gosh, Lord, you are so awesome. It's like, and nobody knows him that way. Like, you have your own relationship with him, and it's just so fun. That was probably way off again. Anyway, this section of notes is short, that's why I keep talking on my own. But anyway, this next section is called From Grace to Grace. I love this. This is so good. Says, many people understand that there is an active partnership between God and man in the initial act of conversion or salvation, but fail to recognize that the same partnership is required in the continued process of sanctification. That just reminds me of that verse in Hebrews that I absolutely love that says, he has forever perfected those who are being sanctified, or something, or ever, yeah. And it's just the whole idea that, like, yes, when you're saved, Jesus has, covered you 100%. Like, you're his, you're clean, you're saved, like all that kind of stuff. But there's still a process of being sanctified, to become more like him, to lose yourself even more, and to be filled with him even more. And like the fruits of the Spirit, like, they don't just all of a sudden, woo, you have all the fruits of the Spirit, yay, let's go out. And it's like, no, those take time to grow and to develop and mature in you. And so, like, that's the whole thing here too. It's like, when you get saved, it's not like, oh, I'm saved, now I'm just gonna go do what I was doing before, but know that I'm going to heaven. It's like, no, that's not what God's saying. Like, it's the whole process of your life being completely transformed and changed, and actually letting God, like, giving him, like, the actual space in you to do that, is where kind of like the disciplines come in and stuff like that. So here's a quote from, let's see, Thomas Dubai again, Deep Conversion, Deep Prayer. I think I need to get this book. I'm surprised I haven't read it yet. Says, the young abbot, Bernard of Clairvaux, was speaking to his community one day, and he made a remark that shocked me on my first reading of it. He said, there are more people converted from mortal sin to grace than there are religious converted from good to better. Now, religious doesn't mean a bad religious in this context. He's talking about actual believers. Putting the saints, and then this is just continuing, putting the saints' observation in simple contemporary terms may help. Bernard was saying that there are more men who give up serious alienation from God, mortal sin, than there are people who give up small wrongs, willed, venial sins, I don't know how to say that, and there are even fewer who grow into heroic virtue and live as saints live. If we are not saddened by this realization, we ought to be. That's so intense. Seriously, like, the idea that there are more people that are just converted from complete and utter, like, against God to grace, to knowing Jesus, than there are people that know Jesus that are converted from that point of initial salvation to more and more becoming like him, like just what I was talking about, and live as saints live. That's huge. I mean, we really don't realize how much there is available, and how much God calls us to, and like, and he'll give us the grace to do it, you know. Like, I mean, some people are fine with just living a half Christian life, where it's like, yeah, they call Jesus their savior, they pray, sometimes they go to church, you know, once a week or twice a week, and you know, it's like, that's all good, and I'm glad, I really am glad that those people are saved, that they do, you know, have given their lives to Jesus. But I just want to like grab him and be like, there's so much more. God has so much more for you. You don't even, I mean, he has so much you can't even imagine how good. And even in this life, before he comes back, you can experience him to so many levels. And I could just go on and on, but it's like, seriously, like, and you know, it does cost you something. It's gonna cost you your life. But if you actually take the time to meditate and to actually sit before Jesus, and ask him to reveal, you know, the cross and like his heart, and everything, and you know, how his love can affect you, I mean, in that place, and just know, like, realizing, oh my gosh, he laid down everything for me, and I'm just sitting here living a half life, not really even following him, you know. It's like, I came to that place so many times, like, God, like, if this is all true, if everything that you did is true, then why is my life not, like, you know, for you 100%? And not, you know, knowing that he's the only one that can really do that work in me, but actually me just going, just realizing that, no, I have to live my life for Jesus. There's no other way. Like, he's the one. He's like everything to me. And anyway, I just want more and more people, and I know God is definitely bringing that to his body, his bride in this time. I just really feel that. Anyway, so here's the last little section. It says, do all to the glory of God. A disclaimer in the spiritual disciplines. The New Testament writers, because of their correct understanding of the material realm, declared that believers are to do all to the glory of God. If we are eating, enjoying fellowship, etc., we are to do this unto God's glory. The created realm was made by God in order to be enjoyed. Yet if we are fasting, giving, serving, etc., we are to do this also unto the glory of God. My camera stopped again. I don't know where it stopped. I was rambling and rambling. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and read some little notes that I put on the bottom, which are kind of a really good way to close out this whole thing about the spiritual disciplines. So I wrote this. It says, get into this mode of life. Do everything under the eyes of God. I want to do everything with God. So, I mean, that just, oh, it's so good. Like, I got this revelation one day, and I was just so blown away, just like how I live only before the eyes of God. I mean, on Judgment Day, there's going to be no one else there. It's just going to be me and Jesus, and everything that I did was before him and him alone. I mean, yes, other people saw me, yes, other people were there, but it only really counts before him. And just having that revelation every day, and asking him, you know, to even help you, you know, become more aware of that you are living under his eyes. This is the last thing. I love this quote, you guys. You have to, like, write this down or put it somewhere. This is from Bob Jones. I talked about him before, I think, but he's a prophet. He's still alive. Awesome. He's so fun. He's awesome. He's just got this southern accent. He's so laid back, but Jesus just shows him, like, takes him up in the spirit, like he's seen Jesus, he's died and gone to heaven and came back. I mean, literally, like, it's crazy. But anyway, this is the quote that I love. Basically, God told him that, he says, Bob, if you're taking a nap or raising the dead, the pay is the same. And I was just like, what? Like, seriously? If I'm taking a nap or raising the dead, the pay is the same. It's like, God doesn't, like, I mean, that's not to say, kind of like where Paul says, like, just because that's true, that doesn't mean you can just go off and do whatever, you know. But it's like, literally, he loves you so much that he doesn't care what you're doing. I mean, yes, you know, he calls us to raise the dead and stuff, but really, he loves you just as much when you're taking a nap. So it's not about getting his love. It's not about, you know, trying to perform. God's love is so big. Like, he loves you no matter what. And 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 that should bring you to a place of just complete surrender and love for him. Anyway, so thanks for watching this video. Yeah, let me know your thoughts, and hopefully I'll be posting another video shortly. Thanks guys, bye.